Hey y'all, it's Nancy, the Handy Scandy. Thanks for joining me for another crafty venture. We are making another Christmas card. Actually, we're making several Christmas cards today. I had a request to show my process for this particular card, and while I was in the process, I thought, well, let me show how else, at least in my opinion, this sweet little Christmas tree image can be used. So these are the three cards that were actually four cards that we're making today, because the first one becomes two. So I started out with this large Christmas tree, and again, this is a digital image. If you don't recall, this is a digital image from the Not Too Shabby shop. You know, with digis you can resize them. You can use pretty much whatever kind of program you want to. I'm just using Word right now. I do have a scan and cut, and I understand that I should be able to do it on there. I've not figured that out yet. So yeah, I'm a slow learner when it comes to tech, just because my brain doesn't work like that. So I have to give myself grace and do it at my own pace. So here you can see that I'm just laying down layers of color. I start out really light with a super soft green wash over the whole tree, and it's just down and dirty, y'all. It's just messy painting. There's no specific technique. And there's no specific colors. You know, I just think, okay, what does a pine tree look like? Well, it can look like lots of different things. There's lots of different shades of greens and shades of browns and even blues and blacks when you're looking at pine trees. It's all very subtle. There's grays and there's whites, and yeah, so just play. Don't try to be, at least this is the way I do it, I don't try to be so literal. I just try to give the suggestion of whatever it is I'm painting. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like that's kind of how watercolor works. And you can see I'm just super messy. I'm just laying down color. I'm doing kind of a little swoopy stroke when I'm at the edges, just because I want it to, I want the paint strokes to mimic the branches. So I just go back and forth with different shades, and again, you've heard me say it's all about the layers. So I'm just adding different layers of color, different layers of even texture, because you know the different paint strokes, the different strokes you use with your brush create different textures. And yeah, so this particular green you can see is a little brighter. It has some blue in it. And you know, think about blue spruces and all of that. And I'm not being specific. I'm just laying down the color. And you see, I kind of keep my heat gun in my hand, because I'm not a patient crafter. I don't want to wait for it to dry, but you really need to wait for it to dry. Otherwise, the colors don't have the differentiation. They just kind of muddle together, which is okay depending on what you're going for. I just wanted the different layers. I wanted them to be subtle, but I wanted there to be definite different layers, if that makes any sense at all. So I pretty much do this same technique on all the trees that I paint today, and I believe there are 4 different trees. This big tree, I wish I could remember the dimensions. If I can remember, or if I can figure it out, I'll put it down below. I want to say it's 7 inches high. It might even be 8, because I was thinking, okay, how big is this quote-unquote standard slimline? But to make it as high as a quote standard slimline is, it was going to be too wide, and I didn't want to lose a bunch of the tree. So I just played with my settings in Word and printed out what I thought was going to fit the best. So you play with your program, you figure out what's going to work best for you, and just think of it as a learning process. There's a learning curve to all these different techniques, right? So show yourself grace, just play, figure out what works best with your particular program, if it's Word or something else. I don't even know what the other options are, I won't lie. But here you can see I'm doing some splatter. Lots of splatter. Lots of splatter. I'm pretty much just trying to use the same colors for splatter that I use to paint the tree, so it marries all those different colors together, and it draws out some of the darker colors and some of the lighter colors. And here I've got some gouache going, and I think I just used water to thin it down so that it was a splatterable consistency. But yeah, here I bring in the Shimmering Bliss, and I also use that, and I think at one point I even used the Shimmering Bliss to water down the gouache. But as much as I like the idea of that, I'm finding that it doesn't really add a whole lot of shimmer to the gouache. The gouache just kind of drowns out the shimmer, because gouache is fairly thick. So even once it's watered down, it's still thick. So anyway, got lots of splatter going on here, dabbing up that big blop. Those big blops of the darker paint, those just become part of the backdrop as the process goes on. So I'm not even sweating those. And if you know me at all, I try not to sweat what I call the small stuff, because to me that's just that. I mean, that's an opportunity for embellishment. That's an opportunity to expand your creativity and figure out how you can use that as part of your overall project. So I decided I would stop messing up my desk with the splatter. When I came home from work, I pulled the painting up off my little cutting board, and I put it in my splat box, because I felt like some of that white gouache just dried back, you know, softer than I wanted it to. I wanted some of those white splats to be more prominent. So going at it with the gouache again, and then of course I got to add a little more shimmer. Can't get enough of the shimmering bliss. I'm just transparency. I love it. I do find that it doesn't drop too well like that, just going straight from the dropper or the sprayer, I guess. So I find it better to kind of pour it out and then use a paintbrush to splat it like you would with the paint. So here I've got the other two printings down. It's 3 trees, obviously. The one that I'm painting there, the larger one, becomes a standard A2 card, and then the other 2, I decided to leave them together and create a little bit of a scene with them. So if you noticed at the beginning of the video, I had pictures of those. So yeah, it's just my process. So again, down and dirty, nothing specific, not even using specific paints. I could try to go back and look. I am using my Arteza, I think they're called Professional. I don't know that they are Professional, but no, just premium. Arteza premium watercolors, the 36 half pans. And I'm pretty happy with that. I have various watercolor mediums, and like anyone who likes watercolor, I think I probably have too many already, but there's several more that I want to get. I have a Daniel Smith palette, a small Daniel Smith palette that was gifted to me this summer, and I love it. And there definitely is a difference. I mean, you can't compare Arteza to Daniel Smith, because there's just, I mean, Arteza's great, but it's not Daniel Smith. So it just depends on what you want, what your overall aesthetic is going to be, what your project entails, all of those things. So for me, the Arteza is working just fine for this project. Alright, and I got smart again, and I put the whole thing in the splat box. I had a little a little clip showing you the mess that I've made on my work surface. I mean, it's splattered all the way up onto my pegboard, it's on my computer, it's on my camera, and oh my gosh, it's a mess. Anyway. So here I just have an embossing pen. It is from, I believe it's American Crafts. Yes, it comes in a set of 3. And I was using the brush tip there. And you can see, again, no specific rhyme or reason. Just kind of laying that embossing liquid down where I think snow would land on the tree branches. The image itself does give you a suggestion of that too. There are some places where it hints to I want to say leafier branches. I guess they are leafy, but anyway, again, no specific skill needed for that. It's just playing, and again, it's just the suggestion. And I did use 2 different embossing powders. I used the Alabaster White and the Marshmallow. I keep saying fluff, I think it's puff. I used both to have like different textures and dimensions of the snow. So here I am coloring up those 2 little cuties from the Not Too Shabby shop. I'll have everything listed and linked below, and at the end I show you as well. So I colored up those 2 little cute foxes or squirrels. I think one's a squirrel, one's a fox. You color them how you want. It's your card. and I colored up 4 little packages, just kind of that monotone, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. Anyway, it's a cute little scene. And I added some embellishments. I'm going to show you the embellishments. That is the A2 size card. I used a sentiment strip from Simon Says Stamp and ran that through my laminator. That is from, the sentiment strip is from Simon Says Stamp as well. And that one these two I did a little bit different than my previous cards. I just did Mary, and I did it right on the image of the tree versus on the card base. So here are the sprinkles that I used, and that is a Halloween set, but you can see I just pulled out the little clear / white confetti. So here are the dies that I used. I cut that out. It's scalloped and stitched, and this is a different kind of scallop that I used for the scene card. But there they are, guys. Super cute. I'm really happy with these. Almost as, maybe even just as happy. I don't know. I don't want to compare my happies, I guess. Anyway, I love them. Y'all tell me what you think. This little scene one wins my heart. It wins my heart. That sentiment is also from Simon Says Stamp, from their sentiment strips packages from last year. And I'm super happy, and I wanted to get a close-up. I wish it wasn't wonky, but I think they're just really sweet. I did not show the coloring process because this was more about the kind of spotlighting on that tree. But y'all, I'm Nancy the Handy Scandy. As always, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're not already a subscriber, I'd appreciate it if you would. Let me know what you might like to see in upcoming videos. We've got a lot coming in the coming days, and of course with the new year. Thanks, guys. Again, Nancy the Handy Scandy. We'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.